Another 2 years passed, another 2 years of schooling, another 2 years had come and gone. Up to this point, I had spent so much time in school. Let's see here. Ages 6 to 17 is 11 years, 18 to 24 minus 2 is 4 years because I dropped out of school for about 2 years while I was in college. And then 29 to 31 is another 2 years. So 11 plus 4 plus 2, 17 years of school. That's how much I had going on for me. Going to school is like flying an object through the air. It is easy to start, and you have a lot of company there. The further you go is like the speed you are traveling. The further you go in school, the faster you go with any object, the harder it is to go even faster. So if you're driving a car and you're going fast, then in order to go faster, you'll need to burn more fuel. So it costs more fuel to go from 100 to 110 than it costs to go from 0 to 10. So eventually, you have relatively little company as you go through school. Something I realized. Progress also becomes more challenging as the time unfolds for schooling. You also start to see that different areas have their own specialization. They almost become a world onto their own, the more detailed you get with certain topics. You almost start speaking a different language. And so here I was, 17 years in school, a master's degree in mathematics education, and I was what you would call underemployed at this time. This was right around 2008 when so much hit the fan in the financial markets. And so the world was just trying to hold together, it seems, not necessarily looking out for what I had going on. I was interested in finding a job. I was looking for work. I wanted to sell myself to anyone that would bid, much less the highest bidder. So I was looking and waiting, sending out applications, you know, the things that you do when you look for work. The marketing and the market is down right now. Teaching positions are few and far between. The application numbers would read like this: English department applications, 8. Earth science applications, 21. Mathematics applications, 214. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Are you kidding me? I thought there was a shortage of math teachers. Now, this is what I'm seeing. Complete craziness. Well, I guess it kind of makes sense because people came from the finance sector and wanted to get into teaching right around that time. So, if they're going to be teaching something dealing with numbers, there's going to be an influx of mathematics teachers. And so that is where I was. So I sat and I waited. I coached swimming, which kept me somewhat sane. I was considering going back to school again and getting a maxed out piece of paper that you can get from school, the PhD thing. You would have to call me a doctor. So what? I sat down and considered what was happening in my life at the time. Much of life seemed to suck. I was not interested in much of what I was doing on a regular basis. I was existing day after day, just seemed to melt away into a malaise. A fog surrounded me, and I grasped for a sense of direction. What do I do from here? Where does one go from a miserable place in life? How does one exit a life? How does one get rid of a life that is no longer wanted? These are the types of questions that I started to ask myself. Why is my life the way it is? Are things likely going to get better if I just let them continue as they are? Let them continue as they have been going. It is unlikely. I have been feeling this way for quite a few years now. I thought maybe getting married would be a solution. It might add some spice to this life that I wanted to escape. But it seemed to become more dark and dank and stagnant at that time of getting married. The shadows got darker and the weights seemed more massive. Now the thought arrives, have a child. You have too much time on your hands. Your child will be the answer to these questions. They will make life seem so much better. No way. I can't. I want out of this life. How can I bring forth another when I do not want to be here myself? Better is the dead than the living, but better still is he who has not yet been born. So, no, I will not bring a newborn into this place. I might just take myself out. I really don't want any of this. There is nothing about my life at this point that I want to keep. That is at least how I felt. What is the point of living such a life? If you were to look at my life from the outside, it seemed at least okay. I had come from running a few businesses and I was in the process of starting up a few more. That might tell you something because I guess none of them were a great success. I was well educated, tall, dark, and handsome, physically fit. I had a beautiful wife that adored me, loving family, many friends, it seemed. I lived in the right place. I was an upstanding member of society and a pillar of the church that I was a long-time member to. I had deep spiritual knowledge and insight, and I was miserable. I wanted none of it. Yes, I thought about killing myself.